Hello everyone, I'm Christine Schiavone and our show is Spiritual Exploration. Tonight we're going to talk about spirituality versus ego, and to help us to explain to you what that means are my two wonderful guests, Thomas Knights Templar, all the way on my left.
Good evening, everyone.
And Josephine Perone on my immediate left. And they're here to help us explain what does that mean, spirituality versus ego.
Go ahead.
Shall we?
Somebody start.
Well, if you take the ego portion of it, it's basically akin to what a person actually thinks about themselves. They think that certain things don't apply to them. You know, certain, like in the spirituality things that we do, our shows and stuff, there are people who claim to be spiritualists, and yet if you try to tell them something and they don't see your point of view, it's not their spiritualism, which is supposed to be embracing. It's their ego that's repelling.
Right.
And that ego grows bigger and bigger and bigger. You have to learn how to dismiss it.
That's true. When something comes up that you can be egotistical about, and you find yourself putting it out. You know, say, no, I'm not going to let my ego interfere. I'm going to do the right thing. I'm going to do the spiritual thing.
It's when somebody sets themselves up as the absolute authority.
That's ego, definitely.
That is ego.
Yes.
Explain.
Wearing it as a badge.
Yes.
You know, spirituality is the badge of the ego for most people. So, you know, ego is important, as we all well know. That's the mortal thinking that resonates through us. It's the yin-yang, right?
Well, you need to have the balance, but you need to keep
in order
check.
to know the light, we have to go through darkness. The ego shows us the darkness, God shows us the light, and then we make choices.
Okay.
You know, there's many different ways of explaining it. So much theology that goes along with it.
Well, you know what? Let's explain exactly what is spirituality first, and then we'll say what is ego. Now, spirituality, I think, in my estimation and in my experience, is when you are a good person, first of all. You help others, because that's what God put us here to do. He put us here. He doesn't care so much about what we do. Otherwise, as long as we are being kind to each other and kind to
When he says you are,
his,
when he says we are each other's keepers, each brother's keepers, that's what he means.
well, yeah, because we're here to help each other. He wants us to treat each other well. Wants us to treat each other like human beings and not badly or anything. He doesn't want us lying and cheating and all that kind of stuff. He wants us to be honest with each other. He wants us, and that's all a part of being spiritual.
A lot of people, when they say to me, goes, you know, like they'll put on something that they're spiritual, and then I ask them, I said, well, what does that mean to you? Because, well, it means to me that I believe in God, right? And I believe there's a God.
That's
that-
religious,
that
though.
is-
There's a
You know-
difference
you know,
between
and-
religious and spiritual.
Yes, but see, the whole point is that they'll only go that far and they won't
They
go
won't
any,
elaborate
they won't
any
elaborate
further.
or go any further,
Right.
you know? Because there's a lot of people tell me they believe in God, and stuff, they just tell me they don't believe in angels, you know, which is created by God. You're
Yeah.
created by God, so how could you not believe in angels, therefore you can't believe in yourself?
Well, you know, every single religion
Clarify,
believes in
angels of God.
Angels of God.
Oh, that's right.
Always
that's
clarify.
True. You have to, you have to be specific, because there are those fallen angels too. But every single religion believes in angels.
Yes.
But I guess maybe some individuals
Mm-hmm.
don't. But basically, every single religion that exists believes in angels.
Yeah.
Right, the Hindus call them the shiny ones,
Oh yeah.
and the Buddhists call them the Bhadavisthavas, or you know, they have all different names. But
What'd you call them?
Bhadavisthavas.
Bata who?
I never heard that word, but
Yeah, I'm
You heard
probably
it here
pronouncing it
first.
wrong.
I still heard it. I still don't know what it means.
But that is they don't call them angels, but they are the
call them
beings of light that come and intercede on their behalf, and
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
So, you know, the Catholics believe in the angels of God, and, you know, they're of course, the fallen angels, but we've come to understand that now the fallen angels are now being brought up to the higher power, back into
oh, is that
wholeness.
so?
That is true. That's what.
Well, what
I was
about
led-
Lucifer, the biggest fallen angel?
He is.
He's gonna
coming
turn around?
they're going to put him right back into the hole.
Well, if that's the case, then everything should be good. Evil should be a thing of the past.
Yeah, first we have to restructure. It's being restructured. There's a lot of things coming to the surface. A lot of things are being restructured. It's coming in through the energy of God. It's coming through the golden age of Aquarius. It's coming through the Christ unity, Christ grid. It's
Feminine thing.
the divine feminine
Feminine?
goddess, which is actually been channeling
ISIS.
no, she was prior. Now it is Ariel, Archangel Ariel, who is the lioness of God.
That's right.
And she's bringing forward the Christ consciousness
She's also
and the
the
lioness
angel of
gem.
love.
The
Well, you
angel
hear
of
us-
love and animals
Yes.
and
Oh, yeah.
nature and
Yeah.
certain. They all have different things that.
Jobs.
Yeah,
Yeah, well,
it's
duties.
multi-dimensional. Everything is.
When you hear
Yes.
us mention ISIS, we're not mentioning the terrorist group.
Yeah, no. we
That's
would
not
never-
even their name. It's like something like ISIL. Okay, ISIS is the feminine power of God. She's the feminine side, balances out the yin yang, the male and the female energy of God. And the Blessed Mother and Kuan Yin.
Yes.
Right.
And,
And Shekinah,
right,
Lady Portia, there's Lady Nana,
They're all
there's,
aspects of.
there's quite a few. There's Sophia.
And these people are all deities of some sort,
They're
They are
archangels.
ascended masters.
They're ascended.
ascended masters.
Well, I
And-
would
and
call them
avatars, too.
avatars. Yeah.
In other words, people that were once here as human beings and have moved on.
To an extent.
They were chosen. They chose to come and take human form for a short period of time, whatever it was, to bring into manifestation. You know, to be the bringers of life, the bringers of the new dawn, the bringers of love. They bring all the compassion. There's so many things that they brought into this world. You know, versus the patriarchal and the matriarchal, because now is the time that the Piscean time is over. So now
mean
it's the
Piscean?
Leo, the Piscean,
I was wondering where
I
you
call
were
it
going with that.
Piscean.
The
In Italian, it's a pisce, so we call it a pisciana.
Anyway,
Right,
all the
so,
blood went to your face after that one.
well, yeah, you know what else is
Anyway.
called pisce?
So we came out of Pisces, we're going into Aquarius.
Right.
Going into Aquarius, so
It's the age of Aquarius is the age of love.
And each age, I believe, is 2,000 years, correct?
Well, Pisces.
Because I think
Pisces
that
just came out.
Jesus lived in the time of Pisces.
Well,
And it's just ending now.
Yeah, it was the male
Right,
energy.
it's the patriarchal energy.
It's the warring factors. You know, the male dominated, and the female energy kind of took a back seat to it. And now it's the other way around. They're going to balance out.
right.
Yeah?
You know, and it's a good
Right,
thing.
that's a very important aspect of what's happening now. It's balancing out. so that women
So
can
do
be
you-
their divine selves
Do
once
you
more.
think, do you think that because this is balancing out, that the world is getting more spiritual? They're
Oh,
tending
absolutely.
toward it?
Awakening and
Because
ascension.
you turn around and there's still a lot of crappy people, excuse my expression.
Well, that's
but,
true. That's true. You know, it's still a dog-eat-dog world.
Right.
However, people are awakening, as Josephine said, and they're awakening to the message. The main message is the message of love.
Yeah, well, that's what,
And
what it should be.
it starts with you. If you cannot love yourself,
That's right.
how can you be expected to love others? You know, and you really need to learn how to love yourself and also to forgive yourself and forgive others for past discretions and get rid of it.
And when
It's
you,
at that point you'll start the ascension.
Right.
once you love yourself, you'll find that it's easier to be loved as well.
Like people say to me, because I see these
true.
terrible things on TV. That's all being orchestrated to you. If you think that nothing good happens in this world, then be the drones that you were meant to be and follow this news that is nothing but a hologram.
That's true.
It's nothing but a hologram put there to control the minions. It's all about control.
Yeah. I'm sure. Well,
Got
don't
quiet in here all of a sudden.
Don't
'Cause
forget, there
the-
are people out there that are controlling things, and they're even trying to control the weather.
They already do that.
Yeah,
They have something called HARP,
yeah.
that they can control the weather. If you think all these things are happening because if we're just unlucky this year,
Yeah,
no,
Well, there's a polarity shift that's going on.
that too.
That is moving things into shifting out of timelines and shifting all of the universal axis, moving it into a better position in the fifth dimension. So that's why we're having an extended winter.
More or less.
It's not bothering me because the sun is still shining.
yeah, right?
I could do without the snow.
Definitely.
And we turn it into diamonds. That's
Let
all.
the snow
it
stay where it
glistens,
belongs.
it turns into diamonds.
In
we're
Canada,
For sure.
you know. So what else you want to know?
Well, let's talk some more about now. I mean, what a pair? Let's say a person who is a very spiritual person. What would you? How would you describe that person? And what would you say that that person is? What does that person do? What do they not do? How do they feel about certain things?
Well, I would say, that there's a lot that creates spiritual. It doesn't happen in 1 second. It's you're making a choice. Me being a spiritualist is that I am host to God. Okay, not a prisoner of my own ego. That's how it started. It's like when I was afraid of listening to I called to God. He bring me someone to help me come out to understand what was going on, because it was the awakening. The awakening was the cross in the sky that just hit me right in the third eye. And from that moment on, a lot of things started transpiring. I started seeing in between the veils, and I had to learn how to put my ego aside, because the ego was telling me it's fear-based. The ego was telling me I had a negative agenda. There was a negative agenda behind it. The ego was telling me that I didn't have any power and control over it. Spirituality was telling me that I had to harness that energy so I could protect my children from what was going on. It was telling me that I was a higher being, that I would learn how. I knew where love was. I would sit in church and I would ask a lot of questions, and I would hear, "Be still. The truth is in your heart." And I was like, okay, what choices do I make? Do I become like a spiritualist, or do I work in a Catholic church, or what do I do? They were like, you're free to make your own choice, because in another lifetime, I was actually beatified Saint Anne of Bartholomew. She was Spanish, and she was actually the best friend of Mother Teresa Avila. And there's so many ways that it developed, and it was about finding your center and your peace, your poise, your power, and then
Quieting your mind.
quieting your mind, learning how to sit in meditation, listening to what the angelic realm was giving you information to do.
Being open to it, yeah.
Yeah, being open to it. But that took a lot of taking your ego out of the way. The ego uses a lot of shaming. You're not worthy. everybody else is
Your
nuts.
ego
You're losing
basically
it.
says to you that you can't do that by simply just saying that. And that's totally wrong. Okay, God empowered you to be able to take the reins of your life and recognize who you are. All right, you are God's creation. How could you be anything less, or how could you be anything imperfect? All right, if you're a child and you're in school and you're not doing good in school, and you say, you know, I am not smart. Don't say that no more. Teach them not to say that. So you
What you
are
put
smart.
out in the universe.
That's-
Yeah, you
that's
have to.
metaphysics.
You have
What
to
you
change.
put
You
out
have to
there
change
is
the
what you
mindset.
reap back.
Right. There's always one saying that I say all the time. If you have an earnest quest for truth, ask God and he'll give it to you.
That's right.
He'll bring it to you.
That's right.
In the form and capacity that of your elevation that, you know,
You do understand.
What you
that you
need
can comprehend.
at that particular time to start the ascension, and that's what will happen. When you get browbeaten because you say something like this in front of somebody who could be a devout this, that, or the other, you know, oh, how can you say that? You know, you're going to go straight to hell. Well, you will if you believe you're going to do that.
Yeah, but people
teaching
shouldn't judge like
metaphysics.
that either and tell you where you're going to go because
Right.
of something you
The
said.
Christ said, judge not by appearance, judge righteous judgment. When you can actually understand what that means, you are quite the evolved being.
Uh-huh.
You know,
And don't forget, when you do judge, you open yourself to be judged.
That's right. Judge and ye shall not shall be judged.
well, right. That's if you criticize and you condemn, then you criticize and you condemn because nothing that comes out of you is void. It comes right back to you in some way, shape, or form.
That's right. That's right.
It said, by your words you're justified, by your words you're condemned. Christ said it. This is the way to walk. Walk ye in it. Be ye transformed by the renewing of the mind. The way he taught metaphysics, he was the greatest metaphysical teacher, he was teaching us how to conduct ourselves.
Through parables.
Right. Through parables. And, you know, his point was also that he was the Christ consciousness brought to this earth to teach us how our energy works, how use our thoughts, our words, our heart, and use and push that forward. And then came along Archangel Samuel,
Yes.
who had this lovely expression that they say to me every day. It's like, it is only love that transforms and transcends the self, moving us forward into a divine state of emotional maturity. That is, we were all born perfect, but now when we come into that into the soul, the spirit, the joy of the soul and the light of the spirit, we need to learn how to be whole.
Yes.
And who makes us whole? It
God.
is this, yeah, exactly.
It's the God presence in you. You need to accept that. Once you accept the God presence in you and you realize that who you are is not your name. Who you are is you're a child of God. You know, why would you think anything less or tell somebody, or somebody's going to tell you, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that, solely by saying it? You speak the words into existence. The Bible says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God. And then a few chapters later, it said, and then became flesh. God spoke into existence man. That was the flesh. You can get 10,000 other opinions of that or deciphers of that, but that's a fact. That's a fact. It's one of the things that haven't been actually subverted out of that book, which is not in totally encompassing all the books that were removed from it. All right, so you're getting excerpts, and there's nothing wrong with being in a religion or whatever. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's got to start somewhere where you realize that when you take your time and you go to shul, you go to church, whatever it is, okay, and you go there, you're part of the flock. Yes, that's true, but you're also part of the support, okay, and you're part of their control over the flock. God didn't make you become an indentured slave. He made you to be who you are, a child of God. Recognize that and move forward in the ascension of your own life.
That's right. And we have to also recognize that there is a piece of God in every single one of us. We are God. and we can act like God, or act like the devil, depending on what we choose.
Well, depending on what you.
But as far as being spiritual is concerned, acting like God is part of it. And how do you act like God? Well, you do good things. You take care of your neighbor. You take care of animals. You you try
Less
to.
fortunate.
Yes, and you try to. You're also kind to plants and any living thing, and that's part of being spiritual and part of being a part of God. And we have to also say to ourselves that we honor the God inside us.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there is when I
Well,
was
you
learning
thank him for
Reiki,
his
I have
presence in you
yeah.
and the angels.
Yes. Well, I have this tape now, and now we don't really use audio tape machines anymore, so I can't play it, and I have to find somebody that can copy it for me onto a CD. Okay, but in the meantime, though, it's like a kind of a mantra type of song. It says Om Namah Shiva, Om Namah Shiva, Om Namah Shiva Shiva Om Namah. And what it is saying, I honor the God inside me.
It's a mantra.
Yes.
It's a mantra.
Right.
Yes.
And I myself would say I'm standing in my holy I am presence.
That's what I do.
My holy I am Christed avatar presence. And that's how it was taught to me. The Holy Spirit bring it to me. They tell me I am standing in my holy I am Christed avatar presence. The avatar is the Grand Master from different dimensions, different orders, here to, so that fragmentation of me is in a body, here to help humanity elevate. And it went through so many different stages. You know, I was the sight clairvoyant with all those guys. I'm not going to say the words. No. The seer, the manifester. I helped hundreds of people in sessions and learned so much from them. As much as they learned from me, I learned from them. The human cause and effect. So we got all the way up to the point of being the seer, being the messenger, being able to channel star seed energy, the spiritual hierarchy energy, till we got to the grid line keeper, the transmuter, the grid line keeper, which is the top three. But that's who I am. And it took a lot of effort, and a lot of will, and a lot of learning. And there's still more to learn.
Oh, you never stop learning.
No.
Even past the day you die, you go into the other side, and you're still learning.
Absolutely. There's certain things, eternal vigilance is the price of freedom, which is what I've always heard from the Holy Spirit. Meaning I was going to be had the sword of spirit and the shield of faith and the helmet of salvation, and I was going to clear a lot of energy here on this plane. And I did through many people, all the ancestral debris from ancient times that they brought it to this country as well. Things that were, that I couldn't even imagine were still in hidden places that we were bringing up to the surface. Your energy brings them up, and we just do the prayer and knock them out just like that. How many times have we sat here on your show God's Way? It was like 27 million into the light, just like that.
Yeah, that was cool.
27 million souls?
27 million souls.
Into the
I've
light.
been going to Europe and taking care of some issues there, and it's the Roman Empire, Constantinople, what do you want to call it?
It's the
Constantinople?
Yeah, that's my
I couldn't even
next.
say it. Constantinople, modern
Right,
day
Constantine.
Istanbul.
Right.
All right. That was it was another capital like Rome of their empire. It was
It was part of the
it's
Roman
part of the
Empire.
Ottomans in that area.
Yeah.
All right. And eventually succumbed to the Ottomans, and that was the end of that. But even with that, that was the other Holy Roman Empire. It was there. It was a representation of that,
Right, there were a lot of transgressions that transpired, and a lot of carnage and all that debris that was. There's so much more than I ever imagined that there could be.
Now, would you?
It has enriched my life immensely.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, like, it's not as straightforward as everyone said it is. It branches out into so many different things.
You would call what went on there mostly ego then?
No, it was controlled by
Negative forces.
we would call the NAA, the negative agendas,
Yes.
the Illuminati, the Cabal, the
Bilderbergs.
yeah. There's so many of them. You know, we see all these things all the time. It's like you see these entities, you know exactly how to get rid of them. In order to actually be able to disperse them, disseminate them, neutralize them, and return them back to where they belong, or back into a nebula where they
transpose them.
transpose them,
you know.
transmute them. You have to come in contact with them, so that you can understand their energy and their thought systems and what their agendas are. That's the only way you can zap them out. They have to go against try and suppress you and your free will, and your free will has to be one with God, so that you can you raise your vibrations. And they can't actually do anything to you.
They can't do anything. They're not allowed to cross your divine sovereignty. They're
Right.
not allowed to do that. All right? But they will do that if you don't recognize what's going on. So the gift of discernment is really something that everybody should learn on how to discern these energies.
Right.
Because how can you dispel them if you won't recognize they're doing something to you? Okay? And because
How do you know
it's
that
like
an
giving into
energy
them.
is doing something to you?
Well,
Yeah, you want? Okay.
well, I had hundreds and hundreds of people in session in large amounts and capacities. It's usually they sit in front of you and you can do 4 or 5 different things at the same time. Sometimes they haven't prayed. The energy is suppressing them, sending fear-based negative thought systems that they're not worthy, that they're not good enough. They disrupt any good thing that's about to happen in their life. They try and destroy finances, your familial relationships. It comes in so many different ways. I've always had the gift to see it.
Yeah.
Go right in there and remove it. I'll strengthen the resolve of the person that's sitting in front of me. It's like, these are the tools and components that are necessary for you to evolve, to help you, receive the things that you would want in life, And you do it in so many different ways, and then I can hear, you'll hear and you'll see what's going on, and you'll strengthen their resolve, like I said, by giving them some tools, like components, like sit in meditation. Here's the pink light. I'll put my hands over them and take out all those energy blocks that have been keeping them suppressed, and then their harmonious progression in life is now under their control. So they have the choice to either continue to use the tools and components, to want to become more spiritual, to say their prayers more often, to send love and goodwill out into the universe,
Think
and become a
positive
productive
thoughts.
person and feeling good things in their lives. But the second they stop doing it,
That's it.
They go back to where they were.
They go back to where they were.
they go back to where they were, but they also know the difference between the light and the dark.
So then they can drag
So
themselves
then,
out of it
they
again.
can drag themselves out. That's the whole point about spending the time to give them the tools and components that they would need to do that. It's like
You're giving them the armor. You're basically giving them the armor of God to be able to ward off these elements. The problem is a lot of people, they come there, you help them with something, and that works out for them. And they're very, very happy. They're all gung-ho. And they think that this is some kind of superpower that only you have and you gave it to them. No, everybody has that.
Yeah.
Everybody has that, but not everybody's going to recognize it, and not everybody's going to try to use that for good. And if you do try to use it for anything other than good, or trying to subvert somebody's free will, guess what? Ain't going to happen.
No, the
They
energy
negate it.
dissipates into thin air.
You negate your own God presence if you do that.
That's right. If you try to do something evil, that's right. You're like saying God is not with me. I don't care about God, because and that's the thing. That's why we have to try to. That's why spirituality. One of the biggest things in spirituality, it's doing good. It's
Absolutely.
helping others.
Teaching metaphysics is extremely important. The metaphysical part of how to achieve certain things. That's what I mean by the tools and components. Teaching them the metaphysical components that are necessary. It's like you're angry with this one, try and let the anger go. I give you the enlightenment to see why that issue was brought to you, how are you supposed to handle it, and give you the tool to actually send that love and release yourself from that anger. And that's a tool and a component that's necessary in the metaphysical world so that they can do it on their own, you know. And they choose to do it. You know, I send you the little pink light of unconditional love, although, you know, although you broke my heart and you left me and you breached my trust, I still want, you know, I forgive you, I forgive myself, and I want to see you move forward in life and have a good life, as I would. And turn them, you know, send them that unconditional light of love, and that's Archangel Samuel, and watch them turn around. So that the next person that comes along, you've raised your vibrations, will be a matching counterpart for yourself. Because you now drew it to yourself, your soulmate, by exhibiting the love and selflessness.
And by what that person has learned also helps the people around her or him.
Right, when you start to change, everyone else starts to change because your perceptions have changed. It's, you know, the metaphysical part is very, very important to teach.
It's amazing what the mind can do, huh?
Oh, absolutely. You can put yourself in a state of psychosis with negativity.
Oh, yeah. Or put yourself way up on.
It's like people are very everybody's been very curious about paranormal experiences, so they want to experience them.
You know.
It's been all over TV for the last 2 decades.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've seen a lot of people come in here, you know, come to me with lines of disgruntled entities behind them, and they're like, something doesn't want me to be happy. I was like, okay, what did you do?
I was running around in the
They
graveyard
won't tell
having
me.
fun.
Of course, the Holy Spirit's going to tell me. I was like, so you decided that, you know, there's somebody in your house and you wanted to have a conversation with it, and then, you know, now it wants to take over. You're part of their life. They attach themselves to you. You invited them in.
It.
Or you went to
Well,
some
yeah, no,
parent.
you can't be inviting anything in. Matter of fact, I always put it out there, no one who is not
For your highest
of
good.
God's light is allowed here.
Right. And when I started having paranormal experiences, I didn't know where they were coming from because I didn't want them.
Remember that?
I was like, nah, we're a Catholic girl. We don't engage. We don't do any of that. I send out love to the universe and, you know, do good to, you know, I'm a child of the all good, born of eternal day, and I do good on to all. That
Tom, go
was
downstairs.
God, Christ, the Holy Spirit. That was it. And when they awakened me, it was like the rudest thing. I mean, I still, you know, my job was to actually clear them, ascend them into the light, but they taught me a lot of lessons on behaviors, on modalities, on what happened made me consciously aware of things that happened in the past, in the last couple of centuries, because they were beings from all different centuries.
Really?
Yeah. So
If you think that only people from this
why
time,
and why
20,
they were
21st
they were
well, no,
still
you can-
why they were still hanging around.
Yeah.
And why were they attached to my family? Because I was the matriarch, my husband was a good guy, and I had 2 kids that were cute, and they loved, and I had parties all the time in my house, and I'm a good cook. When I cook, I swear to God, there's got to be about 30 people standing behind me. You know, but those are the benevolent ones. But
Yeah.
yeah, because they're still, it's like your ancient
Those
asses.
are all the chefs that died and went to the other side. They're right behind you. Make sure you're not screwing it up. That's what it is.
Yeah, they want to put a little more salt in there,
Oh,
a
what's that?
little pepper. You know.
Oregano.
The secret ingredient.
Trying to tell you how to cook.
Well, yeah, but you know, there was so many that and then it becomes a psychosis if you're not able to get out of it, because then you know. But when I became a spiritualist, I always was a spiritualist. When I acknowledged I wasn't a spiritualist,
waiting
it's 2 different
I was
things.
waiting for you to come with that.
Now you're going out in the world, God would be like, okay, you're a healer. He's like, go to the hospital and go visit the newborn section, the neonatal section, and do a healing on those kids. And go to the acute rehab center and do a healing on the brain victims, and go here and do this and do that. And I was going around doing what I needed to do. And then at some point, I started doing quite a few extrications, and the Holy Spirit wanted me to do them to learn how to, the approach, the mindset, the approach, their negative forces, and how to figure out what they were subconsciously and subliminally applying to whoever they were trying to subdue. Because they can do that. So you know, and then it turns out to be like a 3 or 4 year continuous psychosis thing where it's constantly battling all these entities. They were coming after me by the thousands.
If we tell us how many times you called me about that.
Yeah, how many times, right, how many
You
issues
can't
that I
just
have.
say, get lost, I'm not paying
Well-
any attention to you.
That was the case, but some of them wanted to be heard. They wanted to tell their stories. They were coming from all over the place because they wanted to be acknowledged. They also wanted to go into the light. There was some that did, some that didn't. They were pestering my kids, things like that. And then one day I was like, this is enough. I said, I had enough. I was like, you know, that's it.
Close the portholes.
Close the portholes. I learned they told me how to close the portholes. I like, you've had all the experience you need. You know what to do. Close the portholes, and then, you know, we stopped with that part of it, the extrications, and came in. There was one thing that I did come to understand. It's like when the Christ would come to my bedside, and I'd be like, Christ, I can't have, why doesn't this want to leave? If I'm so invested in my Holy I Am presence. They're like, because it's not human. I was like, what do you mean it's not human? It's not the devil and it's not human. It's not human. I was like, then what is it? And then all of a
It's
sudden,
galactic.
the porthole opened up, and there was space floating in my bedroom. Spaceships, webbing, aliens coming in and out, and I was like, oh. The problem is that now they wanted to teach me how to utilize the gifts in my spirituality to remove the negative entities, the negative alien agendas who don't really listen, you know, in the Christ's name be gone.
Right.
Or in God's name be gone. They don't, that doesn't apply to them. There's another way to do that that has to do with declaring your sovereignty and your dominion.
And your dominion.
And, yeah.
Well, being spiritual is a very conscious thing. You have to be aware of what
Absolutely.
you're doing, that you're being spiritual. And because you have to be aware of that, you are more likely to be open to getting messages and getting
Oh, absolutely.
You're also open to getting attacked by the other side because they don't want you spreading the good word.
Well, that's why you have to keep
You
putting
know.
protection around yourself.
Well, we always do.
What's the power
Well,
of
in case
conviction
anybody
is-
doesn't know what to do as far as protection is concerned, you just imagine white light around you, and outwardly say, I am placing white light of protection around me. I don't want any negative spirit or any negativity to touch me. And by putting that out, you can protect yourself.
Right, you could also, Archangel
Michael.
will do the same.
You could ask him to do
and
it
Uriel.
too, yes.
Michael and Uriel. I always have Michael, Uriel, Gabriel, and Raphael with me.
Right.
They are
The
my
four
main
main
four
archangels.
that surround me all the time.
Right, exactly. My
Yes.
teaching also came from Archangel Pallas Athena, who in Greek Roman times was the spiritual leader in warfare. She was the one who taught me the logistics, the dynamics, and the pragmatics, as she called it, and how to deal with these forces and how to harness your energy and push back and not let them penetrate your psyche and just snap them out. Sort them out, whatever you want.
snap 'em out.
We snap them out. Snapping out just clears the energy. Somebody I know used to get annoyed. They're like, anytime I hear you snap, I know what you're doing. My daughter says that to
Well, I
me all the
never
time.
heard of that, actually. You're snapping, and that clears your
You
energy.
know what? That's how I taught the little kids to do it,
Yeah.
who the starseed and some of the very gifted children, to make it more fun for them because they were petrified. It's like, this is what you do. You say, yada, 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 this, in the name of the Christ, you know, and snap your fingers, both hands like that, and
I can only
the
do
energy
one.
will be gone.
This one hurts.
So that used to help with, they used to help me a lot too, because a lot of times you get all these vibrational frequencies in your ear, in your right ear, and I would be like, all right, that's enough now. You know, I don't have to do that, but now I know everybody knows what I'm doing, so I was like, I try not to do it. I was like, no snapping.
Before we were talking about clearing ground entities and ground spirits, a lot of times, you know, when they die, they don't go through the veil. They stay here because they're afraid. They're afraid they're going to be judged. Once again, that has been drilled into their heads from the time they were
Judgment
children.
Day, yeah.
So they actually fear that. Okay? They
And
actually
that's
fear
probably
that.
why they don't go through
So
the
that's why they
light.
don't go there. And not only that, you get negative entities that keep them corralled and use them as their minions. okay?
What do you call those?
When we
things?
clear
Glorious
them, the negative entities have to yield to our light, all right? And we clear them, and we send across millions of them into the light, all right? That's what we do.
I agree with that.
See? You got it right from the opulent godmother.
Ha ha ha.
What was it?
What's your train of thought? Did you have a brain
Yes,
fart?
I did. No, that doesn't happen. There's usually something else coming through that they want to talk about. Well, I'm sorry. Questions?
We
Well,
were passing the, removing these, they were holding.
Oh,
the
I came
hostage.
across so many holding groups of them behind. I mean, I was actually seeing them being vicious to each other, to hold them down. They were in chains and bonded. I was like, what is going on here? I was like, in the name of the, I was like,
It's like looking into hell.
pretty
Well,
much.
It is, because they're keeping them in bondage.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Then
not
who's
allowing
keeping who?
the negative entities.
Are keeping souls?
They're
Yeah.
keeping them from crossing the veil,
Uh-huh.
all right?
Because they don't want them
Because
to, sure.
they're telling them they're going to be judged.
Uh-huh.
And maybe they think they did
Well,
something
some-
bad
You
in their
know
life.
what?
How many-
I wanna
know how
tell you
many- I can't
something.
even tell you how many girls how many young girls from the 16th, 17th, and 18th century that were still here because their life was taken. They were just about either to get married and start the rest of their life, and somebody just came behind them, approached them,
Killed them.
molested them or took advantage of them, and then just killed them and just left them there.
Nice.
I mean, I had a lot of those in my house too, because where I live now there was forest there, of course, but we used to ride our dirt bikes there because I only lived like around the block from the house that I live in now. And actually, you could feel the energies rising. And there used to be this woman in my bathtub that I would see her, and my daughter would see her too, that was all bloodied up. Her name was Dorothy. She was brought here from another country to be somebody's mail order bride in 1759, she said. And he mutilated her, he sexualized her and mutilated her, and he cut her up in 1,000 pieces and threw her in a sack and buried her under my house.
Under the house you live
Right,
in now?
so her energy would come up all the time.
Did you get her out of there?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, that was
With
good.
the hundreds of others that were all over the place.
Well, as far as like judgment is concerned, I remember reading in a paper years ago about during the time that Pope John Paul II was Pope, when he was here, and he said that when you die, you're not going to stand in front of God and be judged, because you know what kind of life you lived. You judge yourself.
Right, you have your own.
And if you have lived a bad life, a negative life, a life where you've hurt others, people, animals, whatever, you will know how you lived, and you will judge yourself, and you will send yourself to where you belong, because you will not be able to not send yourself where you belong. You will know exactly what you did during your life. Your whole life will be known to you when you are there, and you'll judge yourself. God's not going to say you did this,
Right,
you did
there's
that. You're going to know
it's
exactly
called a life
what you,
evaluation.
yeah, and you do it yourself.
Right, you do it yourself. Some people actually do it from their hospital beds. That's why they linger for a few weeks.
Really?
They start doing it then so that they can raise their vibrational frequency by forgiving everyone, forgiving themselves, for
Get to a higher level
acknowledging,
when
to
they
get to a
go.
higher level so that the angels will come and take them to the
directly.
higher realms.
The higher realms.
Now, there was also another issue with the photon belt that was keeping people from going to the highest heavens. It was a hologram that you weren't going to the higher heavens to God. You were going into this hologram that was created by the negative agendas, and they were
tricking?
They were tricking you to think you were in the light, and then you would be reincarnated back into a life of suffering.
Oh, no.
And bondage. So the intergalactic confederation, council friends, they actually worked very hard. Ashtar worked very hard on sending pulsations to burn up all that webbing, so that no one would get stuck in that webbing where the souls would be stuck there and then reincarnated. They think they're in heaven, but they're not.
But tell
And
me
it's a
something.
reincarnation.
God, why doesn't God do something to save those souls?
He just did.
He did.
He did.
We had to do it all at once,
Yeah.
basically.
Keep in mind that you come in here with a life's mission, and you choose what it is you're going to do here. You can.
Well, that's true. We come
Yeah.
here, we decide before we come here in the before time exactly what's going to happen in our lives.
And then,
Well, not everything goes according.
doesn't-
No, and sometimes we change our mind and try to change the
Right,
contract
there's certain soul
too.
contracts. You're like, well, I know I signed a
Yeah,
couple of
soul
contracts. I was like,
contracts and
what? I
how
was
many
like, I don't
souls
like that
ago?
soul contract. Let's disperse it.
vows of poverty, vows of servitude, vows, all these different vows
Yeah.
Yeah.
that have been seated in your timeline since the inception.
Uh-huh.
All right, you got to remove that and get rid of that stuff.
Now, timeline meaning all our lives or just...
Our lives run parallel.
Yes.
Every minute of your life that you've lived now to where you are now, every stage, adolescent, child, newborn, all this, all the way runs parallel.
It's all happening at the same time.
There's so much time shifting right now that it's absolutely insane. I was just telling them in the kitchen that I had sat down with a cup of coffee at my kitchen table. I put my phone right next to it. Got up, went to the counter, was buttering a bagel, came back to the table, coffee's there, phone's gone. I thought maybe I left it in the refrigerator by some chance, or I put it where the butter was. I went back to the counter, I'm looking around, I turn around, I come back, coffee and the phone. Time shifted,
Right. I've seen.
all right? And it's happening a
Now,
lot.
it wasn't like sometimes that, sometimes, for instance, like you just put your keys down on the end table, and then you're going to leave the house and you go and your keys aren't there. And then, so you look going crazy saying, well, maybe I put them somewhere else, looking under the cushions in the couch and this and that and the other thing. And then you go back and there they are again. Could that also, I mean, it might be a timeline, but could it also be like a mischievous spirit that might have moved
Or
them,
you're
put them
experiencing
somewhere else,
some
to playing a
Alzheimer
joke on you,
dementia.
having a laugh?
Alzheimer's dementia.
Some Alzheimer's and dementia. Even so, I've had a few patients that were experiencing Alzheimer and dementia, and getting a glimpse of what they were seeing. It's just opening the pineal gland, and then it's actually not. They're not really illusions. They're actually seeing in between the veils. And I always tell everyone, be kind to the person, your family member that's experienced. I said, he has a higher self, and they are watching how you are treating them. Whether you're treating them out of love, they see when you're impatient. They know if they feel all those emotions. Even when you go to the nursing home and you visit a loved one, they see you when they smile. They're smiling at your energy because their higher self knows your energy.
Yeah, they see you.
Even though their brain is not functioning correctly, everything is the wiring is all messed up.
They're seeing their angels already.
They're seeing their angels, they're seeing loved ones, they're seeing beings, they're seeing animals where they,
pets they used to have.
Pets, yeah.
other, anything that's in between these veils.
When you go there and you look at them, like my mother had Alzheimer's, and when you look at them, it's like the lights are on, but nobody's home.
Right.
And she would recognize me some days and not recognize me.
Yeah, that
And
happens.
it's hard seeing your mom. This
Sure.
happens, right?
They will have moments of cognizance for
Well,
sure.
Yes. I mean, you go up there, you see all these other people, and this is the last stage of life and everything else for them.
Yeah.
But they're seeing the angels. You see them looking around in this wonder, this splendor. They're looking around, and they, even in their situation, they're happy, content. Because they're seeing that.
Well,
when
yeah,
a
well, 'cause
person,
they
when a
know where they're
person is
going,
really,
what's gonna
really
happen.
sick, let's say it's a cancer or something like that,
Yeah.
and they only have like a couple of days to live, whatever it is, all right? If you think that they haven't been across that veil 100 times already and visited with their family, they're waiting for them to go, they keep on telling them, because you'll be here, not your time yet, you're going to go, blah, 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 blah. And that's it. A lot of times, like I had gotten called for a prayer of passing. And I did that for a friend of mine from Long Island. You know who she is. And I gave her a prayer of passing, and they did it in the room with the mother who was lingering. They were all holding hands, and they said the prayer. And I said, she's going to get radiant, beautiful. And then her numbers are going to fade because everybody's there, and giving her the release, the permission to go.
Right.
Well, do you know
sometimes it's
that
called a soul surge.
Yeah.
My mother-in-law experienced that.
administering Reiki to someone also could help them
Yes,
move on.
to move on.
If they are struggling to get out and go. Because I remember years ago I had a dog.
Did you do that to it? I was going to say, you did that to it.
I did, yes, I had a dog, his name was Fred, and all of a sudden he just laid down on the floor.
That's my buddy Freddie.
Oh, yeah?
Who passed away.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, anyway, though, so Fred was a good boy. He really was a good dog. He was kind of, I think, a Doberman Shepherd mix. Anyway, though, he laid down on the floor and he was just laying there, and I says, oh no, something's wrong. I think he had had a heart attack. And within an hour and 15 minutes, he was gone, but I was giving him Reiki, and then he passed. He died. And then a couple of weeks later, I happened to go with some friends to you know how they have sometimes in a restaurant these you get dinner and a psychic reading for a price, you know, whatever. So we went to do this, and I sat down with the psychic, and she says, you have a pet that's not doing well. I said, well, I have a pet that just passed away a few weeks ago, and she said, you did something that helped him move on, and I said, well, I gave him Reiki. And that's when I actually learned that Reiki would do that.
Oh, yeah.
It would help a soul pass on if that's what they were destined to do.
Absolutely.
And they were having a hard time doing it, and the Reiki helped them pass.
Yeah, you gave him the energy of God. That's what you give him.
Yeah, that's it, to move on and go to see God. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I've had many veterinarians and veterinarian assistants come to me in session with other personal problems, but they were coming with entourages of animals behind them.
Yeah.
And there was this one particular woman after her sister had died of cancer, and it's like she needed to save everybody. Any animal that died in her care, even though it was there a lot of time, would make her feel like she did something wrong. So of course the angels came through, and I was like, no. I said, your perception is all wrong. I said, you're giving them the strength to leave. It's there a lot of time. You're giving them the strength to leave.
That's right, because they have to and they can't.
Right. So that's why I was like, you know what you need to do? I said, you have a large property in Jersey. I said, you need to have your own rescue farm. And after that, you know, she texted me a couple times. She's like, and then she texted me all the animals on her farm.
Really?
She had
She did?
donkeys and pigs and
Wow.
and all kinds of farm animals, and it was cool. She was like, you were right. She's like, this makes me feel so much better.
Well, good.
Because she was stuck in the corporate part of the veterinarian thing. You know how they feel about that.
Yeah,
They wanted
sure.
to be free. But you know, once she got the understanding, I was like, they're coming to you because you're helping them leave. It's not they're leaving because of you.
Yeah.
She had it all wrong, you know, because she was the type that she felt like she had to rescue everything.
Yeah.
You know, that had to do also with her personal life too. You know, her sister was dying and then had died with a young kid. She wasn't feeling whole. You know,
Yeah.
she was feeling depleted. As like, you
Well,
know.
it was good that you came up with a good idea for her to turn that all around.
Well, I hear that from they hire.
Right,
They
right.
tell me what their primary substance is, and what their soul evolution, and what they should be doing. That's the whole point. Is like give them that advice. It's coming from the higher realm.
We got
I
like
think
3
we have a
minutes.
lot of spirits around us now.
Well, we
Yeah.
did. Something was a bit touching me here. What do you say?
Yeah.
Right over here. Something's messing with my ear.
Now they have to do that.
I mean, you got 3 minutes to go, so they figure they want to make their presence known.
Yeah, right.
I keep hearing
Well, very
Frankie.
often they do want to make their presence known. It's the truth, you know?
They do, but it's, you know, it's not cool sometimes.
No, it's not. It's not. It's good when they let you know when, you're not trying to sleep or something like that.
Oh my God, how many times have we popped our eyes open and there's
Yeah.
like they're standing around, you know, kind of thing. It's
All right,
happened
now we
for
have 3
years.
minutes. Now we have 3 minutes.
Yeah, we do. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, we have thank someone.
Well, she's got to thank someone. It's her show.
Yes.
You know?
Well, I usually wait till we're down to about 2 minutes. When I
We're
do
waiting
that.
for 2
Yeah, well,
minutes.
that's what I'm saying.
But anyway, no, this has been very interesting, though. I think that maybe to sum it up, though, we should just say that if you're spiritual, you're trying to do good things. You're trying to help others, help the earth, help animals, help whoever needs help. And if you are working with your ego, it's just the opposite. You just care about yourself. You're into what you want. You don't care about anybody
Self-indulgent.
else.
Self-indulgent.
Self-indulgent. You want whatever you want and everything to go the way you want it. And if it don't, you get all kinds of upset.
Never
and
let
that's
somebody,
not the way to
never
be.
let somebody comes from the pointed ego, okay, get in the way of your dreams. Your dreams are
That's
your
right.
own.
That's right.
And don't let somebody else subvert it with their egotistical, jargon.
Right. Well, very often people, especially when you're spiritual and they're not, and they will criticize you, and things like that. But you know
Take the
what?
criticism as praise because
That's
they
it.
cannot be like you,
Yeah.
and they're jealous of what you do.
Oh, very often that's the case.
All
Very
right?
often it's
They
jealousy.
give into the negative thing. Anything like jealousy or hatred or vindictiveness.
Any negative thing.
That is inverted faith. Okay? That is inverted faith. Love is faith. Love is God. God is good. There's only one little O separating good from God, and they are interchangeable. One is the other. God is good. Good is God. The end.
That's it.
We got about a minute left.
And
so
just remember, dog is God spelled backwards.
that's right. Made
Yes,
him to be
they
our
are.
companion.
That's right.
We
Man's
call
best
them-
friend.
We got one. We got one.
The simple soul.
Simple soul.
Simple soul. Is what
That's
I call
right.
them.
Yeah.
'Cause some of them do actually channel some higher spiritual people.
Oh yeah.
Dogs, cats,
Oh
depending.
yeah. Well, they're very
And most of
sensitive
them are very,
animals.
oh, absolutely.
Very sensitive. Anyway, I'd like to thank both of you for coming on tonight, and this was a wonderful conversation, and we'll have to do it again sometime.
It'd be our pleasure. Thank you for having us on.
Yes, it was my pleasure to have both of you, and it was a good conversation. Thank you. And
Thank you, Ms. Gibb.
everybody, have a good night. Take care.
Peace out.